Welcome to the October 19th special meeting of the Human Services Advisory Board. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. Thank you all for attending. I will now call roll. Joanne Parsons. Monica Gonzalez. Alfreda Lee.
Here.
Eleanor Owen O'Shane.
Here.
Melina Pinju.
Here.
Did I say it right?
That's good enough.
I've been working on it. Gloria Quinn
Here.
and Megan Campbell.
Here.
Okay, so we have 6 out of the 7 voting members in attendance. Staff, is anyone present in person, online, or by phone to speak during the citizens' comment period?
So we have David Doran as an attendee, and I'm going to allow him to talk. David, are you here to represent an organization, or are you a member of the public who would like to comment?
No, I'm here to support the Salvation Army San Marcos. I'm the Senior Service Extension Representative. I'm just here to support Lisa in her presentation.
Okay, great. Well, we'll go ahead and move you over to be a panelist so that you can speak if they have questions for you. Okay, and with that, we do not have any members of the public wishing to speak.
Okay. Then we'll move on to our presentations. We will now receive a 5-minute presentation by the applicant agency for each program that was listed in the evening's agenda. Each agency will receive a 30-second warning as the 5-minute time limit is approaching. Each presentation will be followed by a 5-minute question and answer session between board members and the agency regarding the program or application. Members of the public are welcome to listen to the presentations, but will not take part in the discussion or the question and answer session. Time limits will be strictly enforced on both the presentation and the question and answer session. So since I am a voting member, can you hear me? I thought it went. So that I can devote attention to the presentations and discussion, staff will introduce the presenters and track the time. Carol will introduce the presenters and move them over.
Okay, thank you. And I'll go ahead and introduce the first agency and program. It is Southside Community Center with the Transitional Shelter Program. And here to represent the agency is Ruben Garza. And Mr. Garza, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you again. I think this is my 34th year that I've appeared before the commission. We have 3 proposals: specific assistance, our homeless shelter, and our housing renovation program. All 3 programs are essential programs that are needed, especially now with COVID. And a lot of people are losing their jobs and need rental assistance as well as electrical assistance. We have a list of people that are looking for renovations that have been kind of held up because of COVID. We get CDBG money as well for the renovation program, but unfortunately, that's not slated to go into effect till March of 2022. So we've run into a stumbling block with that. And so the money that the city gives us is essential in regards to acting as a stopgap measure in the meantime. Our homeless shelter is always full, and we feed all the homeless from 5 to 6 every evening. We provide breakfast on Sundays. Do I have any questions? It's pretty straightforward. It always has been.
So I just have a quick question, Ruben. This is Carol. typically you would have 5 minutes to present on each application. And I know you've kind of covered all of them. I just want to make sure you know you have that much time if you want to take it. If not, we could go ahead and open the question and answer period.
We can open the question and answer period. I don't want to waste anybody's time.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and do that. So we'll start, I think I'll ask Diego to go ahead and let us know when the first 5 minutes is up. But since we're talking about 3 applications, we really have 15 minutes total.
How long can people stay in the transitional housing? I saw that they're allowed to ask for like a 3-month extension if they're doing
They
the
are.
right thing from what I read.
Right. We're trying to
Initially,
get,
before the 3 months, how long can they stay for the longest?
well, they can stay up to 3 months, but they can ask for an extension even after the 3 months.
Okay,
What we're after is stabilization. There's too many stopgap programs like hotel stays and things like that that really don't work for stabilization. It helps them, but it just doesn't work to stabilize them. Did I answer your question?
Hi, Ruben. I wonder if you could share with us about the population of folks that you work with. Kind of what are their needs? What does their service time period with you look like? We know that
Well,
the
we
homeless
have,
population has grown
Right.
significantly in Central Texas. So yeah, if you could kind of share with us about the general population.
we have a variety of population all the way from students to senior citizens. You know, we have a senior center located on Parker Drive. We currently have the most affordable rent in the city of San Marcos for seniors. We have a waiting list for that facility. You know, then we have university kids that come in and they're having trouble paying their rent or utilities because they're also working and paying tuition. We also have community people that are from 21 up. You know, we do homes for 90-year-olds. We do homes for single parents with kids that have after the last storm, we had a roof blow off, part of a roof. The city, your people, we work with the city staff quite a bit, have been asking me to fix that roof, but there's been no money available. And now, you know, when it becomes available in March of 2022, we'll be able to fix that roof. So the city also has a list of people that are either on non-compliance with certain, whether it be an illegal shed built in the back of the house or whether it's, you know, some other structure that needs to be torn down or repaired. So we work with a whole cross section of San Marcos during the ice storm. My God, we worked with everybody. It was Southside kind of became the center organizational structure of everything, and we put out probably 25,000 meals during that period. We also distributed water during that period. Some lady wanted coffee from McDonald's. I had to tell her it was closed. She didn't like the coffee we brought, but we took her coffee. I mean, you know, it just all depends on what the situation is. I've been through 2 floods and a major ice storm. I don't know, have I answered your question? We provide statistical information through this to the city through the quarterly reports. So those are more specific. Hispanic women, white women, other, you know, and age groups, because we work with the schools as well, providing, we just had a large donation, believe it or not, of underwear for children, for little girls and little boys. We didn't know that that was really an issue until the United Methodist Women donated a ton of it to us one year. Well, we gave it to the community liaisons at all the schools. We didn't realize that, we should have, that kids have accidents in school and it becomes embarrassing. And so to have underpants already there for them to change into and new clothing really helps their self-esteem during the day. So, like I said, we provide quarterly reports and we provide the statistical information on every quarterly report. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, somewhat. I know that there are folks on the board that are not as familiar with Southside as others because the folks that serve on this board change every couple of years. And so I just want to make sure that everyone gets a full picture
That was
of
the first
the
5 minutes.
services.
Well, Southside's been around since 1927. And it's the oldest nonprofit in San Marcos and in Hays County. So, we are intricately intertwined in the community and try to do the best we can with the limited resources we have. I appreciate your question. Am I still on?
Yes, you are, Ruben.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't tell.
Ruben, can you share with us some of the names of some of the other organizations and agencies that you partner with and have partnered with over the years to ensure that resources are shared between?
We call, usually when we're helping somebody, we'll call other agencies to make sure they have not applied with the other agencies. It depends on how big their bills are. If their utility bills are large, it doesn't matter if they apply with other agencies. They need to get a little bit from whoever they can. But we also work with a food bank. We worked with a women's center. We provided offices at one point for the women's center while they were in renovation. So we worked with almost every single group in town. Now we have some new groups that are not, in my opinion, how would I put this politely or politically or diplomatically, proven. They are not 501c3s or they're not in compliance with the state laws. But boy, they sure like to criticize. And I'm okay with that. Like I said, I've been in San Marcos 30 years, if not more. So I've spent most of my adult life in San Marcos. And I'm committed to the city. I'm committed to the people in the community. So, we work with everybody, but you do have to be accredited. You do have to have the proper credentials. We cannot work with somebody who is taking donations and then we don't have accountability for those donations. We have an audit every year. You know where our money goes. If you bring us money for coats, we provide you the receipt for those coats. Backpacks, we provide you the receipt for the backpacks. We've got to have transparency in the nonprofit world and ethical guidelines that guide us on how we spend people's money and when we ask for people's money. There was approximately, I think, $25,000 to $30,000 raised during the ice storm that we still don't have any accountability for. None. And I just don't understand how you can raise money through a GoFundMe campaign and then not, provide accountability for that. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you, Ruben. I had one more quick question. Could you explain or describe your working relationship with the San Marcos Police Department?
Oh, well, let me tell you something. During the ice storm, they brought us all kinds of coordinating efforts to get people help. We have a tremendous relationship with the San Marcos PD as well as the San Marcos Fire Department. They're committed individuals and they're committed to the community. I've never seen them work so hard. while I observed them during the ice storm. They showed up every day. They distributed food. They distributed water. It's just amazing to me to see the community come together like that, and especially the San Marcos PD and the San Marcos Fire Department. Now, I also sit on the Chiefs. Is there I don't know if it's an official title, but they've met twice, and that to basically help organize people in the community to support the San Marcos PD. So I'm a big police supporter and I'm a big fire department supporter.
Ruben, you mentioned stabilization and how the hotel organizations or that provide that don't provide that type of stabilization. How does your organization provide that, especially for our homeless sector?
Well, like she
Second
said,
5 minutes.
they can get it 3 months at the shelter. Now, I have to tell you that we give them 3 months, but they have to follow the rules, which means they've got to take a drug test before they come into the shelter. They can't use drugs or alcohol while they're at the shelter. And they have to try to find a job in the community. Once they get stabilized, we've gone as far as paying the rent and the deposit on an apartment and getting them stabilized. I'll tell you right now, I have 2 foster sons that are wonderful young men. I met them when they were 9 and 12 years old. They're in their 30s and 40s now. One's married with 3 little girls, a little boy. He just bought a $450,000 house in Canyon Lake. And he called me up. He calls me Dad. He said, Dad, do you realize I was homeless when you and I met, and now I own 2 homes? And I was like, holy mackerel, he's right. And he owns bigger homes than I own. Heck, I don't even have a house right now. I'm in an apartment. So, he's young, I'm old. But I was really proud of him that he was able to stabilize. Now, his brother works for a famous artist in Wimberley and lives in San Marcos, and he pays his own bills and he owns his own car. I mean, that's all you can ask for, is for somebody to take responsibility for themselves. Now, I hate to tell you, in the homeless community, telling somebody to get a job is like telling them to get AIDS. They just don't like it and they don't appreciate it, because everybody has a different view of life and how they should live life. And, I know that one person got extremely mad at me because I said, you need to get a job. Well, I work with another homeless kid. He's 21 years old. He says a job is just nothing but shackles. It's government's way to shackle you. And we work all our life until we're old and then we die. And I thought, well, he's got a point, because I'm there, I'm old, and that's where I'm headed. And so, so everybody has a different view of the world, but we still have to put out the reasonable, logical conclusion that in order to survive in America, you have to work and you have to earn your living, whether you like it or not. Nobody's going to just give you a living. So I don't know. Did I help you with that? All right.
Yes, thank you, Ruben.
You bet.
Ruben, you also talked about your rehabs. How many homes do you have on the list? And
Well, I have to tell you, we have not kept a list per se. It's just people that keep calling us. I can only tell you that I've had probably 20 calls from people asking when we're going to start up the rehab program. And I know that one of them, a city councilman, called me and said, what's going on? Why haven't we started? And I'm like, dude, I mean, you've got to realize it's COVID. We lost the whole CDBG department. It's been put back together. Carol's done a great job in reforming that section, but it takes time. And whether people like it or not, it's federal money and there's guidelines. And we have to adhere to the guidelines, whether we like it or not. And so, this year it'll be a little different. with more city involvement in terms of looking at the homes and basically telling us what needs to be done in the home, working with the homeowner and what the homeowner wants done in the home. So it's going to take a little longer this year, but we're ready to go. We're ready to jump into action. I've got a lady that needs a bathroom renovated. I've got a roof that needs a hole patched up. I've got another lady that needs windows done. I can almost tell you what they need because I remember this stuff. I have a guy bought a house for his mother. He's trying to renovate it. And the family is an old family in San Marcos, but she's been poor as dirt all her life. And that house, you know, he spent his last dollar, his savings, to buy her a house that is in real bad shape and needs to be renovated. So he already has come by and picked up the application. The lady for the windows has come by and picked up the application. The lady for the bathroom, I haven't gotten to her yet in terms of getting her an application.
That is time.
Okay, and that'll be it for the question and answer session. Thank you very much. I want to let all the speakers know that once the question and answer session is over, you are very welcome to stay with the meeting and listen in. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Thank you. You're welcome to stay. However, there won't be any additional questions for you at this meeting.
I'm gonna go ahead and bug out. I've got to get on a machine. But I appreciate the time and I appreciate everybody's participation. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ruben.
Okay, our next speaker is for the Central Texas Dispute Resolution Center. The program name is A Secret No More, and Martha Joyce is here to tell us about it. And Martha, your 5 minutes starts now. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to be able to come and to talk about the Central Texas Dispute Resolution Center. We have been in San Marcos since 2009 and basically have grown steadily. There was a time when we really wondered if we were going to be able to keep the doors open, but we've been able to put together money and to, you know, we have a little nest egg now that we used to not have. Not that it's anything big, but at least it's going to keep us, it'll help us if we do get in that bind like we have in the past. Our mission of the DRC is to provide mediation and conflict resolution services to the unserved and the underserved populations of Central Texas and especially San Marcos and Hays County. As well as we provide training for the Central Texas citizens, and also these trainings are in accordance with the Texas Civil Practice and Remedies Code, Chapter 154, Alternative Dispute Resolution Procedures. In 2019, our board voted to take advantage of an opportunity to help us with strategic planning and the assistance. What we found out was that we're probably one of the best kept secrets around. A lot of people don't understand mediation. They don't understand what we do. So I don't know, most of you, I don't think I've ever spoken with y'all before. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about what mediation is. Mediation is where two parties that have a dispute come together and you have an unbiased third party that facilitates conversation to try to come up with what we call a mediated settlement agreement or to ease the conflict. Mediation has been around for a long time. Basically, it was part of the statute came about in the 1980s, but we started the Central Texas Dispute Resolution Center in 2009. Basically, you know, it's hard to get the word out for what we do, because unless you really need mediation, a lot of people don't even have a clue. But we have a lot of opportunities through the courts, through attorneys, through different individuals, and we try to take advantage of every opportunity that we can get to let people know who we are and what we do. We try to tell our story as often as we possibly can. We mediate family cases. These cases include divorces. They include child custody, SAPSers, which is where two people have not been married, but they have a child together and it's in the interest of the child. We also mediate JP cases. We also mediate county court at law and district court cases that are non-family civil cases at this present time. We have we offer free mediations to Texas State students if they have problems with their rent or whatever. We try to get them to mediation, but mediation, I want you to know, is a opportunity. It's not required. You have to volunteer to participate. So we try, but sometimes we can't get people to come. We also do law enforcement referrals free of charge.
That is time.
Does anybody have any questions?
And in perfect time, we will start the 5-minute question and answer period now.
Okay.
I have a question about, I read that you hired I think a coordinator for Cite and Divert. And
Yes.
I know a little bit about that program and it not happening. I thought their main issue for it not happening was they didn't have anybody to kind of route those special cases to, because they're going to keep them off of people's records. Was it going to be you guys? Were you guys going to help them with
We were
that?
trying real hard to get them to route them to us, and we have not been able to do that at this point.
Why
we have
don't they
not
want
given up.
to?
If I could answer that question, we would probably have a mediating here. But yes, we tried to, and we continue to, you know, we try to continue to keep the person that we hired to be able to, whenever it occurs, that we'll be able to be ready to go with that particular program. We're not giving up on the program. We meet occasionally with the district attorney, with his office, with some of his personnel that are supposed to be in charge of this, but we haven't been able to get any movement on it. We've also met with Texas State attorneys who also back this program and would like for us to be able to mediate, but we just, there's something that's missing, and if I knew what it was, it wouldn't be missing. We'd be doing those cases. So as soon as we can, we still plan on trying to do that. And I appreciate your asking that question. Anybody else?
I'm not familiar with that program. Cite and Diverse. What did she say?
Cite and Divert, basically, it's a program that was put into place where police officers, instead of taking someone to jail, they write them a ticket, and basically what we were wanting to do was to keep everything off of their record. As it is right now, it's not totally off of their record. We were trying to to start a program much like what the Lubbock Dispute Resolution Center has, where Texas Tech students students get in trouble. We have a son that works for Apple right now, but he had a time in his life when he didn't do exactly what he was supposed to. And it was on his record, and he had to get it off of his record before he could go to work for Apple. It's that simple. Our board president has two sons that had the same problem. So if we can, and it's not, they're good kids. They're kids that as adults, they are contributing to the society, and a part of and good for the community. But it can keep certain people from being able to get certain jobs unless you dig deep down in your pockets.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So Cite and Divert is supposed to keep that from happening, but as it is right now, it's not totally that way. And there's a lot of politics involved with that too, and I really do not feel free to go into that, but there's a political side to it. The county would lose some money. Yeah,
well, it's about the money.
Yeah.
You mentioned law enforcement referrals.
Okay, when an officer is called out to a home, and many times, I'll give you an example. We had a couple come in here that law enforcement had referred them to mediation. They had been fighting with their neighbor for 8 years. And basically, we never did get it to mediation, because once the neighbor figured out that he was going to have to do something to solve it, he decided to sell his property and moved. But I guess it solved the problem too. But that was 8 years of controversy. It was so bad that
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to break in.
Okay.
Time is up, so I'm sorry to have to cut you off.
Sorry.
It is quick.
It is. It is.
So that's the end of our question and answer period for this program. And thank you very much. And then, as you know, you're welcome to stay or leave, but we don't expect, we won't have questions for you again during this.
I think I will probably leave. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to call the Central Texas Dispute Resolution Center, and I'll be glad to answer any specific questions you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
and
you.
Then okay, thank you. And then our final program this evening is from the Salvation Army of San Marcos and Hays County. It's the Emergency Assistance Program, and Lisa Cruz is here to present on that.
Thank you for letting us be able to present today. My regional rep of Texas Divisional Headquarters, David Doran, is on this Zoom because this is important to us. The funds that we receive are used to help our community and keep our emergency assistance programs running to do the most good in San Marcos. We're asking for this grant to help us continue making a difference and improving the lives of people. We plan on growing and need these resources to help. Our vision is to grow our ability and resources to serve in our community, to serve those in our community. Recently, we joined the Homeless Coalition, and the board has approved the Salvation Army to be an entry point for the HMIS software. We have also partnered with the Hays County Food Bank and are looking forward to our first pickup this month to offer more variety for our homeless snack packs and start a local food pantry distribution. Here's some stats. Last month, which was a slower month for the year, we assisted 46 families and individuals with financial assistance for utilities, prescriptions, and transportation. a total of 115 household individuals. Outside of that, we provided 67 individuals. Most of them were homeless with snack packs. Some individuals come more than one time a week. It's a snack pack is just gets them through the day. And then on Fridays near the weekend, we usually give them extra to get them through the weekend until we're back open on Tuesday. We assisted 17 individuals with hygiene packs, 2 people with shoes for work, 33 cases were utility assistance, and 6 cases were Greyhound transportation assistance for homeless to San Antonio shelters, rehab, or to a family member. Whenever we purchase a Greyhound ticket for somebody, we make sure that they have a destination, that there is somebody that will receive them and that they are going to. So at this time, I'd just like to share some testimonials to y'all. Jennifer G came in asking for assistance with steel toe shoes for employment. Her husband worked for Texas State University and had been in the hospital with COVID. He returned home after a couple of months on an oxygen tank and could no longer work. They have 2 children, and so she got a job in the factory. We assisted her with steel toe shoes Friday evening so she could start working that weekend. We also put her children on the list for Christmas gifts this year. TC came in our office needing assistance with formula for her baby. Her niece and baby live with her, and they were completely out of formula with no money to buy it, as both of them are currently unemployed. The Salvation Army purchased 9 bottles of formula to help her feed her baby until she got through the application process for WIC. She said it helped her a great deal. She is now receiving assistance with WIC. TC would like to remain anonymous. Regina G came in for help with utilities. She is disabled and her husband is currently unemployed due to a car accident. The Salvation Army helped them with their utility bill of $148.35. Kelly D needed assistance with her prescriptions. She had just moved to San Marcos, was between doctors, lost her insurance, and had no one else to turn for help. The Salvation Army paid for her prescriptions and helped her find resources for continued health care and insurance coverage. I have to say that that was diabetic medication, which is very expensive that we are, when people come to us. So we try to find the lowest amount that we can find using prescription cards and other assistance. So we were able to help her get her prescriptions, and now give her resources. I gave her a list of resources, and so now she has continued health care, she has insurance, and has a new doctor and can afford her medications. Franklin R came into our office needing assistance with his utility bill. His mother passed away and he was waiting for Social Security to start so that he could afford to pay the bill. The Salvation Army paid that utility bill. He was great for the help, as this was a very hard time for him. Angie V came in assistance for electric bill, some food, a hygiene kit, and a baby car seat. She has been out of work due to a foot injury. The Salvation Army assisted her with her electricity bill of $184.90, gave her food, a hygiene kit, and some clothing. We also gave her a list of resources and connected her with a program that would assist her with a car seat. KB, which is very recent, she came in needing transportation assistance for her and her 2 children. Homeless in San Marcos, she found her family was in danger. With the help of the women's shelter, we were able to purchase her 3 tickets back home to her cousin. The Salvation Army also provided her with a bag of food to last them on their 3-day journey. This just illustrates that we do a variety of good things for a lot of different people. And that's what we're here for.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll start the 5-minute question and answer period.
Okay.
I would like to ask why such a substantial increase in the amount that you asked for this year compared to the previous years.
So this year, we have had an increase of financial assistance. After the freeze, we were helping lodge a lot of homeless people up until June. And we exceeded all funding for any type of lodging. We have a 3-day emergency lodging program, and these funds would help start that program again, which is a current emergency assistance program. And continue the programs that we do have.
there other agencies that you partner with, say maybe to split a rent or utility bill if you don't have all the funding to provide to them?
Yes, so our standard operating procedure allows us to help each individual with $250 one time a year assistance. And a lot of people have been coming in and their bills have been $1,000, $1,500. So we work with St. Vincent de Paul, Community Action, Southside, to help bring that bill down. Some churches, First Presbyterian, First Baptist Church, to help bring the bill down, and then we can help them with that final $250 to get them to zero so that they can start fresh.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say the 3-day emergency lodging system program was new or
It's not
ongoing and
new.
it's higher need, or?
There is a higher need for it. It's not a new program. It's one of the many programs that we do offer. However, because we exceeded all funding from the freeze and lodging people during that time, plus we had people in there for an extended amount of time until June, we had to completely stop our lodging at this time because we don't have any funding for it. Our number one fundraiser is our kettle season. We are working very hard to try to get volunteer bell ringers to meet that need, but we are in need of funds and to where we can start offering 3-day emergency lodging assistance again. I have people that come in here on a regular basis that are looking for just a couple of nights to get off the street because they're getting ready to start a job, or they had some kind of problem, or they just got out of the hospital and they need some kind of emergency stay where they can just be off their feet for a few days. And at this time, we can't offer it. These funds would open that back up.
Thank you. Yeah, the freeze was a special situation, I'm sure, that sucked the funds out of
It really did.
all kinds of programs.
Were you open during the beginning of COVID and providing resources during that time?
That would be in early March of a year. What has it been? 2 years already almost?
Yeah.
I actually started in November. So when I started, we did have the doors open. Of course, it's by appointment only. And I believe during that time it was by appointment only. We never shut down.
Okay, thank you.
Seconds.
So what's the majority of the increase in requests for funds based on? If you had
Well, we are planning on growing and expanding programs. We're also looking into purchasing an RRU for emergency disaster situations such as out of the freeze, so that we can get 2 people in a more efficient manner and be able to serve them and feed them.
Okay, thank you. And also, will you please state what an RRU is, like spell out the acronym?
Rapid Response Unit.
Okay. Okay, with that, we will have to end the question and answer period. And so thank you very much for your presentation on your program.
Thank you.
And thanks. And I will turn it back over to the chair of the meeting, which is Mary Earls.
Okay, we will now hold discussion among the board members on programs, agencies, and applications for the purpose of clarification, comparison, evaluation, and assessment. This discussion is public, however, it is only among board members. This time is meant to be a free flow of conversation, but please make your comments succinct to allow time for all board members to share if they wish. And this discussion will be facilitated by Carol Griffin, Housing and Community Development Manager. Carol, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. And we'll just start with, does anybody have any questions about today's presenters or else others that have presented so far? And
I
then
always
if-
like, I always
sorry, go
like
ahead.
Community Action. Ruben Garcia, they've been around, like you said, a long time. The services that they provide.
Oh. Joanne, you're muted for some reason.
Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, I think that was me. Okay.
Okay.
I like Community Action. Ruben Garza presented. They've been around for a long time.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you again. It's a Southside Community Center.
Oh, Southside Community. I'm sorry. And like I said, they've been around for a long time and they have a lot, the services that they offer. We've been hearing them over and over again, but they're services that the community needs. The rehab program, it's usually during the summertime. And I like the fact that they partner, and I don't know if you mentioned this, with other churches pretty much all over, to have their students come, and these are teenagers, come and literally work on the houses alongside someone that's knowledgeable of working on homes. And so I like his service. The only thing, he really didn't say how many people that were on the waiting list, or how many people had come to pick up applications. I know he said that that the city council was asking when were they going to start, and they usually start during the summer. So I'm just wondering, Carol, if you can send an email to ask him if he could kind of tell us when he is the tentative start date for this. Would it be the summer? And approximately how many people does he have right now that have applications out?
So actually, I'm very aware of this program because it
Okay.
is actually, it's the city, like my division, that is directly working with him. And we're actually the reason for the delay. I can put it that way.
Okay.
So we HUD required us to redo the entire program. And so we had to put in new policies and procedures and so forth. And Ruben has been very patient. We now have several years of funding backed up. Partly it was because of COVID as well. So he didn't mention the students coming in because this year, once again, they are not going to have the students do the work. Unfortunately, that was a big part of the program, but this year, again, it's just going to be contractors. We do have several years of funding that has stacked up. They have about $392,000 to spend, and they will start in March because the city asked them to let us help them find contractors and to let us help them find the inspector who does the scopes of work. And we had to go through the whole federal process to do that. So putting out an RFP, evaluating it, and so forth. It takes several months to go through the process of finding contractors under the federal rules. And so that's some things that have held it up. But so the application process is open now.
Okay.
And has just opened. And so I think they're just now starting to get ready because they know they're not going to have contractors until March.
If they already have $300,000 for this particular program, is it just for this particular program, or is it for their programs?
So the $392,000 that they have is for home rehab of single family homes. And it is 3 years of funding from CDBG. So the city has caused them quite a bit of delay in the way our programs, he was talking about it. And so anyway, that's 3 years of funding. They usually get 100 to 150,000 a year from CDBG for rehab.
Okay. So if they already have the CDBG, do they usually have that funding when they ask for funding from us?
I would have to look back. They have received, I would assume, yes, because they have they've received CDBG funding for at least 10 or 12 years, at least 10, because I went back that far. Yeah.
I just thought the 390,000 was given to them. I didn't know that it was over a 3-year span. So I was just wondering if they needed this money that they were requesting because of that money. But now that you've explained it, yeah, okay, it makes sense. Thank you.
Carol.
So since they're using contractors, does that mean that it's going to cost them a little more because they're using contractors on each home versus them using a contractor but having the students do most of the unskilled labor?
We haven't really calculated it, but I would assume, yes, it's gonna cost them a little bit more. Cause you know, like you said, they would have contractors do the skilled labor, but the students did a lot. And so they were just still concerned due to the pandemic about having the students come. That was not the city's call. That was what Ruben decided was best for the program.
And I will note that the city sent out in the electric bill, I think for next month, they're announcing the funding. I think
Yep.
up to 25,000 is what I read.
That's correct. Yeah.
Carol, I just wanted to ask, a couple of the organizations have referred to the HMIS software that's going to be coming. Is the city paying for that, or, and then Salvation Army is going to be the entry point to collect that? And how many organizations are going to have to participate in that, and so on and so forth?
Okay, so let's see, as part of the, let me see how to say it. Okay, the city does have funding set aside for the HMIS system, and that HMIS is Homeless Management Information System. A local coalition has formed, a homeless coalition has formed of agencies that are all interested in working to create solutions for people who are homeless and find them, you know, more stable living conditions. And this coalition, like in their first meeting, they had 55 people show up. So that's quite a few. That's agencies that are interested in working on the issues. And so what they're looking at, they think there will be probably 3 or 4 entry points for the coordinated entry. And coordinated entry is a very specific, very organized program that has been replicated across the country to help the agencies coordinate. And then a person who's homeless can just go to one agency. Their information is entered into the system, their needs are entered in there, and then everyone else who serves people can see it as well. So they don't have to anymore go from agency to agency to try to get all their needs filled and so forth. So that software helps everybody track the people and know that they've been served and so forth. So there's probably 4, Salvation Army, Southside, Together for a Cause, and Home Center have all wanted to be coordinated entry points and are working toward that. The local coalition is also working to get it organized. The city has set aside enough money for 2 years of licenses for I think it was 10 licenses. So we figure maybe 2 per agency, something like that. That's already been set aside through other funding. Just so you know, I did today complete the funding list that shows all of the different agencies and set asides that the city has in place right now. And you'll get that this Friday in your packet.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that obviously homelessness is such a prevalent issue and concern in our community. We see it under the bridges as we drive through town. I know that Southside is an extremely important resource in our community that meets a lot of needs. I wish that we had heard a little bit more about what they do explicitly and the population that they work with. And I wish that some of the language that was used to describe it was a little bit more strengths-based. Yeah, I'm trying to be very thoughtful with my language because I think that this is a very important programming. And I wish that there maybe was a little bit more intention into the way that it was discussed tonight.
Yeah, I got the feeling that he wasn't supportive of the hotels and more, homeless outreach and emergency, I think it was called access, or I mean, I think he specifically said that it doesn't work, or it's you know, that he wasn't very supportive of that particular resource or access. That was it just me that got that impression, or and what's that coming from?
No, he did say that the hotels and more kind of provided a Band-Aid effect.
Well, sometimes you need a Band-Aid.
I know, but
And Southside,
think he
you
was-
know, it's hard to get in there sometimes.
yeah, and he was talking more about stabilization, and that's why I asked him how did Southside provide that, and the answer that he gave was the 3-month stay into I guess their facility. I don't know. I just know that they've been around a long time and been providing this service for a long time, and that their services do work. I know that. Hotels and more, I know that they are a new organization that's,
Right.
I don't want to say popped up, but just, you know, emerging on the scene. And so he talked about accountability, and I know that they keep detailed itemized records to where you can actually go in and see where the money goes. Hotel and more, even with the $100,000 that they raised, I don't know if that was bought up, but did they have an itemized, you know, list of how the money was spent and how much is left over? I think he was alluding to that.
Yeah. Is that
Just
the
giving money to
GoFundMe?
organizations and not having accountability in process of how the money's been raised, how the money's been used, rather.
Right. Well, he mentioned a GoFundMe. He didn't say specifically.
Well,
what
hotels
it
and more
was.
did use the GoFundMe and other resources to get the $100,000 that they were
Joanne,
operating with.
Are you talking about Home Center? Is that what?
With the hotels, yeah, home center, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So that's what he was alluding to when it came to their organization. Where did the money go to? Did they have a stabilization plan in place like Southside does? But you also have to keep in mind that Southside's been around for a long time.
Right.
And so
right.
they've had this time to grow their and mature their organization to where it is now.
Right.
And I do think sometimes that, like Gloria said, sometimes you do need a Band-Aid. I think that there's like, we've got to find, there's room, there's need for all of it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I think,
Some
Eleanor,
point.
that Home Center showed us that one organization or two organizations can't take care of all the needs, because there was still homeless out there doing the freeze that needed help, that either they didn't know about Southside, didn't know how to get to them, but somehow, you know, Hannah was able to go out there and find these people. So that lets us know that there's still a need as for us to offer assistance to that community.
As far as Southside's facility, and I know that we go over this, we've gone over it, but I don't know how many people exactly they can house at one time.
I don't think it's a lot.
No,
Carol, do you know
I
how
went,
many they can house at one time?
I would have to double check. I think it's 11.
Yeah, it's really small.
It is
Um,
small, and so it's kind of, I'm not gonna say crazy, but it's kind of, you know, to think that you could provide that with just that limited space and not needing help from other organizations that can provide
Right,
something
right.
more for them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Austin's had this hotel arrangement for homeless, short term, you know, with, you know, I'm not going to say wrap around services, but, you know, it's been working. And I really wanted to know more about that program, because, you know, a lot of the hotels are just vacant still. You know, I don't know enough about how that, the details of that, but I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why he sounded kind of negative about it. Or
I
maybe
think
that
he was
just
more
my-
negative about the accountability than anything.
Yeah, no,
It
I
was-
got that impression
yeah.
for sure. But I mean, if it's a new agency, then, you know, certainly if they want money, they got to provide that.
Right, and we can always have Carol email a home center and ask them for, you know, that itemized list of what did they do? How did they spend the 100,000? They have anything left, or, you know,
Right.
I would love
right,
to see that. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, all three of these agencies have been around for a while, I think, so.
And that may be why he didn't elaborate on each one. You know, he kind of grouped them together, like Megan was saying, thinking that we knew about the services because they've been presenting for so long. But, you know, like we can always call or have Carol send emails to him and any agency if we have any questions about them.
Uh-huh.
Megan, I did appreciate you saying that. Just that, you know, I mean, not everybody knows all of these, you know, has been doing this or knows everything Southside or any of the organizations do just because they have presented and asked for money year over year. So
That's true.
on that.
Plus, Ruben is sick. So, yeah.
I think a 3-month stay there is certainly not typical either. He mentioned that.
3 months stay.
Yeah. I don't think that's pretty typical. It
No,
sounds
not for the
like.
3 month stay. It's
Uh-uh,
not.
No.
Yeah. They also have a home. Carol, do they still have that home over there? It's like right in back of Southside. I don't know what street that's on, where they actually provide the meals, hot meals for them. I think they also have a live-in person that they had before. And I know before COVID, the churches and different organizations partnered with them to like Monday through Sunday, every evening, a different church or a different organization will provide meal for that day for the homeless and a sack lunch or something for them. I don't know if they still have that, but I know that they did because I organized for Promised Land for them one year.
I don't know if they have it. I'm not very familiar with their homeless programs. I've only worked with them on their housing rehab.
That's the shelter. That is the shelter where they provide the meals.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a fantastic program that needs to stay around. I think any type of monies that we can give them, I think they're very deserving of it. If you have any questions about like accountability or what they're doing with their money,
No.
I know that they have, well, and I'm just saying, I know
Yeah.
that their books are open to the public for you to go in, and Ruben will go line, but he loves it. He'll go line by line to let you know what they do, and they try to cover different needs that the community has. And so, and this is, I know we haven't heard this program yet, but they also have a program coming up for house rehab, and this would be a good partnership with First Baptist Church that's going to present, I don't know when, for their housing rehab for their kids. This would be a good partnership with Southside for housing rehab for them to partner with as well, because they've been doing this for a long time as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a big need for that. I mean, people that, you know, home repairs and renovate is so expensive. And, you know, if you're on a fixed income, I'm sure there's a big need for that one.
I like that they do take applications, but also I've known people, including myself years back, that would just go in and say, hey, I need this patched up or this, and I didn't have an application. And they sent someone over to help me with my home. So I know that they go outside the application as well if they have money left over, and they'll just help you on the spot.
Southside also serves as an emergency respite for the women's shelter and also for San Marcos PD. if they need to bring someone in there that say a runaway, you know, someone might be passing through, homeless. So they work really close with the Women's Shelter and San Marcos PD.
That's true. And the Salvation Army, I think COVID and the freeze and all these national disasters that we had really put their organization to the test, because I've been hearing them present for a few years and I've never heard them say that, you know, they had to provide as many services as they had as far as prescription drugs, you know, snack packs for the homeless. They're just now partnering with the food bank and clothing and, you know, 3-day lodging program. I never have heard them bring up anything like this. It's always been very vague, or services that you normally are accustomed for them providing. But they have really been put to the test since, you know, like the freeze and also COVID. And it seems like they have provided as best that they can, to the point where they even ran out of funds. So.
Any thoughts on the dispute resolution center presentation, or the agency in general, folks that have been around for a while?
They've been presenting for a while too. It's basically the same. I think that they're very well needed, especially now that they're partnering with, they have like JP cases and a county court, district cases. I think they're adding different components to their to what they already have. And so I like that I see their growth, and they're providing different services and not the same ones. And I think that the mediation for the students, for their rent and stuff, they didn't provide. I've never heard them bring up a student mediation before, and they brought that up tonight. So that lets me know that they're being creative with the services that they're providing.
Is that the some kind of eviction thing, or preventing evictions from rental properties or rental?
I think so. I think it's helping to negotiate with landlords and things of that nature too.
Oh, well, that's got to keep them busy right now.
And see, I've not heard of them providing that before. So it seems like they're getting creative and kind of stretching out a little bit to what the community needs, and also providing services to Texas State. And I hadn't heard of that either.
Okay.
I like that they're providing an exclusive service that nobody else has asked for. And I don't think anybody else does that in Hays County.
No,
And if they can, I think if Cite and Divert, if they do ever make that program work, they're going to be a big part of it, a huge part of it, probably.
I agree with you. It seems like they're working toward that. That's something that just happened. Like, I think they just passed that right before COVID. So that's not something that's just been around. But that they are taking that into consideration. I think when they are allowed to participate in that part, there are services that's needed. And like I said, I like to see that they're being creative and kind of working outside the box of how they used to work. Yeah.
All right.
It shows that they're looking for ways to service our communities in mediation.
You know, the HMIS software that you mentioned, Carol, that sounds great. Who's paying for that?
So the city received a reimbursement from the Coronavirus Relief Fund that was $2.6 million. And
Wow.
the council decided that they wanted to spend that on social services. And so some of the 2.6 went towards city costs for the coronavirus. That just had to happen. But quite a bit has come towards social services. And so that is within that funding that they've set aside. I think it's only about $20,000 that will pay for 2 years of licenses. And so they also in a different bundle of money from the pandemic, American Rescue Plan, they've set aside funding for a couple of part-time social workers to try to help the Homeless Coalition set up the coordinated entry. And I don't know where that stands, but I know that funding is set aside.
Okay, and when do they think that that's going to be operational?
I'm sorry, I don't know the timeline really. I know they've been meeting for several months. There's a committee that is led by Carol Belver of Community Action, working on setting up coordinated entry. And so I think it takes quite a bit of work. It's a very official process, partly federally created. So you can imagine there's lots of pieces, but they have a lot of help from the Texas Homeless Network as well. So I really don't know their timeline, but I do know they've got some good people working on it. So
Yeah. Well, I can
Yeah.
see how it could certainly streamline some of
Mhm.
the help and the coordinating everything. So some
Mhm.
person doesn't have to pick up a phone or, I
Yep.
mean, geez, that sounds,
Yeah.
So
Or
that's
even
2 years.
drive from agency to agency. Like the thing is, they realized that people who don't have cars were having to struggle to get to the various agencies.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, so various cities have put this into place and it's a very organized process.
yeah.
So that particular software is going to be available to them through the city funding for 2 years. After that, is the city going to continue paying for that, or do they have to ever pay for it?
After that, they'll have to pay for it, but it's relatively inexpensive. It would be like, I think it's like $1,500 for 2 licenses. I'm making this up at this point because it's been a long time, but it's along that line. It's not huge because it is specifically geared towards social service agencies. There's different homeless management information systems out there, but the Texas Homeless Network is our lead agency, basically. And so they would have the same one that the Texas Homeless Network uses. They would have to get licenses for that system because it coordinates all the way through then. They can keep track of data, and that sort of thing.
Right.
So if after the 2 years, they're kind of low on funds, will the city be able to help them to continue keeping that software, or is that something that they can incorporate into Human Services grant the next time they apply?
They could incorporate it into their Human Services grant. So I would not anticipate that the city will continue because that funding was one-time funding due to the pandemic, but it would be something this body would see come before you.
Well, 2.6 million should go pretty far.
Yeah. Well, that's where we held a application process for 640,000 of it earlier this year, and gave this board an opportunity to volunteer to serve on a committee to decide that the agencies that would receive funding. And it ended up that about 350,000 was left over. And so that has been moved. That's part of where your 1 million came from, is that same 2.6 million pot.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't have enough applications that complied with the requirements at the time.
Okay. So.
That was very interesting.
Yeah.
But it worked out because we have more money to use for agencies that are in compliance. So it worked out in our favor.
Yeah, it did. And then also the city council removed the coronavirus connection from that 350,000. And so now it's just part of the amount that you have available. So that's really good. You still have 150,000 that must have a coronavirus connection. But that's from the American Rescue Plan. So lots of money flowing through at this time.
Oh, Eleanor, they were talking, I think that was the Salvation Army that was talking about a snack pack that they were providing were y'all helping with that? Because she was saying that it was certain items that was in that. So y'all doing that before? Is this part of the program that y'all introduced, or is this just y'all helping them?
No, well, it's kind of like expanding it. The tough bags have more items in them. The snack bags that we're going to give to, or we're going to work with Salvation Army on, will be really limited to maybe like an evening or a day and a half, just kind of like some snack items, whereas the tough bags hopefully would last maybe 3 days. So it's two separate things, but all centered around helping the homeless. And so, yeah, it's not part of the same program, but it's kind of focusing on that demographic, but something more quick and easy for them to pass out. We've had lots of different agencies ask for something like that. There's another organization that's working with the home center and actually going to be going, it's a church, they're going to be going out to the homeless encampments. And so we were trying to design a little snack pack to help with that. And so then Salvation Army came and asked. So it's just, it's good. It's good.
It's very good, and it's causing these organizations to help out in areas where you can't be everywhere or everything to everybody here in San Marcos. So it's nice that they're helping out in that way as well. But they also happen to depend on you for a different type of foods, or just to get a list of what type of foods they should put in to the bags.
Yeah, we've committed to a certain, I think it's 40 bags a week or something to that effect. And so we'll see where we can go from there with funding, like for us and for them. And I'm sure they're working with other people, but this is what they're trying to do with that, is have something available.
Yeah, and the recent impact, it says there's 107 total homeless residents in Hayes County. This doesn't sound, I don't know how.
I don't think that, I think that number's probably larger.
Low. Yeah.
But at the home center was saying 300. I don't know about that, but
yeah.
There's a point in time count that's done every year that the home center actually leads. I can get you that point in time count. And I think they may have provided it, but I can get it from the Texas Homeless Network. That's the official data collection agency on that. So,
yeah. Well, and who knows what the number is for at risk for being homeless. Right now it's probably pretty high. I don't know how you count that. Especially with the housing market, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And rents just,
it's really high.
It's bad. Taking advantage of the fact that there's just no inventory for houses that are available. For a certain income. Pretty sad. So.
Any other discussion about these agencies?
I don't think so.
We have a little bit of time. It's already 8:21. I wondered if y'all have questions about what you need to turn in a week or two. So deadline's coming up. I'll need scores for each of the agencies.
Oh, dear.
I could, yeah.
Oh dear.
Yep. On the official forms. Yep. It was indeed a memo. So we'll need, I'll send it again too this weekend.
Good.
What I'll be doing is compiling all your scores into an Excel spreadsheet. And so if you are familiar with Excel and like to use it, I can send you a format to put all your scores into. I'll compile them and average them and just be able to show you some statistics at that first meeting where we're discussing so that you can see where we stand. Like, how does it compare across the board? Are there wild differences and so forth? And then what I'm thinking that we can do, and I'll send these ideas out on Friday as well, are having sort of rounds of discussion. So maybe we'll ask, okay, are there any categories? And I've split them up into categories. Are there any categories that just shouldn't be funded? Like it's not a thing for San Marcos. So that would knock out maybe a category or maybe not. And then within each category, we could talk about, okay, well, there's 3 agencies that serve this purpose. Do you see that they're duplicating? Do you want to go ahead and eliminate that way? Then after that, we could talk through, are there any, and maybe before that, I'm still working on my little plan, but we can talk through, are there any that should definitely be funded? Like just everybody is 100%. So we kind of set those aside. Are there any that everybody is just like, no, this should not be funded? Okay, we set those aside. So we'll kind of go through a process of elimination and then also looking at the positives to sort through the list. And then I figure that we're going to end up still with quite a list to discuss because we have $1.7 million in requests and $1 million in funding. I'm right now checking around to find if there are little apps that we can use or something, if we have to do it virtually or if we do it in person, to keep voting on things. Usually one way that you can do it is have like red, yellow, and green stickers so that y'all can, okay, everybody you've got 3 greens and 3 yellows and 3 reds. Go put them up there on those 9 entities and see which ones come out on top. It's that kind of thing, just to sort through so many applications. And then once we have sort of a rough list, we'll have to talk through, well, where do we stand on funding? We have pretty wildly divergent amounts that are requested. And so we'll just have to see, like, have we eliminated some of the bigger requests and therefore we're right there within the million or so forth. So that's what I'm thinking. Does that sound like what you would like to do as the process?
Yeah, I like the part where, who, just does not meet what the community needs. And then ones that we know meet the needs. And then I guess the ones in the middle where we, like they're asking for 120,000, we may only be able to give them 60 or whatever. I like that.
Right.
I think the way we did it before too was they just put everything on the board with all the numbers, and we just kind of did a process of elimination through there. It was just really cutting funds until we got to our desired amount. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is done with so many applicants and so much money. I wonder what process is going to work for us the best.
Yeah. I'm trying to make it structured but fun, but also the structure will allow for a lot of discussion. Like I don't want to over structure it. So that's what I'm aiming at.
Carol, I just want to clarify, I will not be turning in scores, is my understanding, but I should still attend the meetings in case just general questions come up, but kind of just present, but there as a resource. Is that correct?
That's your role. Exactly. Yeah, I think you have it exactly. Yeah.
So she won't be giving any input. It would just be if we have a question for her that pertains to whatever her expertise is, then she'll be able to answer that question, but without giving any input as far as how she feels that we should vote or give out money. Correct.
Well, right. Well, so I would say, she's here as a resource. So I like that she speaks up at times to say, here's some perspective from the industry, so she might still, like Megan, you might still have some comments to make. It won't just be for questions. For example, if we're talking about a category, or something like that, or just, how does this work? But you are correct. like Megan won't be voting and won't be advising on who you should vote for. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make it that clear. Okay.
Yeah. And it really is up to each one of the voting members separately to figure out what you think is best. Well, with that, why don't we move on to the rest of the meeting, and I'll turn the floor back over to the chair, Ms. Earls.
Okay, so we'll move to receiving updates from the board members on activities since the last meeting. Does any board member have an update for the group? No? Okay.
As far as update, Carol, did you ever get in touch with Iron Sharpens Iron to see what is the least amount that they would be able to work with, since some of the monies that they were asking for was startup? Just so that if we can't give them the whole 120, at least we'll have a number that we can work with that they're comfortable with.
I can ask that question again. I did ask the question, and
Okay.
her reply, like y'all have received her reply, but it didn't give a number. And so
Okay.
I could ask her again for a number. I'll do that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
When do we get the reply?
It came to you in a memo?
Did
Have
you
y'all
get it,
received a
Karen?
memo?
Did anybody get it?
I'll have to go back
No.
and look and
I think
see.
I did.
You get it?
I think, well, I would be happy. Okay, well, maybe I'm
resend?
thinking I sent
Can
it.
you resend it?
Yeah,
I've been
it
looking
could
for
be
it,
me.
so. I've
Yeah,
been
it
looking
could be
for
me.
it. Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I
Lost in
thought,
all the emails, if you don't mind.
well, and it may be me. I may have just thought we sent it, but yes, we'll definitely send it.
Okay.
And then I'll also ask her for a specific number.
And then also
Okay.
for home center, the $100,000 that they were able to raise, could we get yes, itemized on how that was spent? If they have it?
I have
Do
it
you
right
have it?
here, actually.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, she
okay.
just, I came in today.
You must
came
have
in
been
today
reading
and it was-
online.
It was sitting on my desk. Like it was literally on my desk today. And so, and then
Awesome.
she's got for 2020 and then 2021. So
Awesome.
we'll
Awesome.
get this to you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else got anything? We'll move to the next item. Okay, so board members may provide requests for discussion items for a future agenda in accordance with the board's approved bylaws. No further discussion can be held related to topics proposed until they are posted on a future agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Does anyone have a request as an item for a future agenda?
Have we talked about this, or I don't know if you, I think this will be future if we haven't. If we could call a certain agency, if we had a question for them, do all our questions have to go through you, Carol?
Let me think. Okay, we talked about it at the beginning.
Can't remember, because I know some of us wanted to just call and clarify something real quick because we don't do site visits. Or did we have to bring it up in the meeting because of the meeting act, so that you
Well,
could email them?
Yeah, the main concern is that we don't want agencies to think that other agencies have received preference. And so
Okay.
if a board member contacts them, it may appear to be more than it is.
Okay,
And that's really the main thing.
okay.
So the answer is no, we're not going to be contacting them.
It's better
Okay.
not to. I mean, I think there's not a prohibition on it. There's not an open meetings rule on that, but it's better not to.
But
But
I
it,
understand,
you know,
I understand
Use
what
your
you're saying.
judgment.
Yeah, got it, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
One of the things I wanted to see if we could, when the presenters are speaking, I would like for us to allow them, if they've started, and answering a question, at least allow them to finish it instead of us cutting them off. Can we consider that? Or do we need to vote on it? You know, because I feel bad about it because, you know, they've already started to answer the question. But then if they try to go into something else, we could cut them then. But I would just like to allow them the opportunity to finish their sentence.
What we can do is put that in the procedures for next year, just as a note to staff, like let them finish that. We were trying to be very strict, you know.
Yeah.
So, but doesn't have to have a vote. Like we can just put in a note, like let them finish answering the question. We just have one more week of speakers.
Yeah.
And so, but we can do that for sure.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to our next. Was that all? I'm sorry. Did anybody else have anything else? Okay. So this is the opportunity for press and public to ask questions related to items on this agenda. Staff, is anyone present in person, online, or by phone to speak to this agenda item?
There is no one.
All right, thank you all for your participation this evening. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Who is that? All in favor, say
Okay.
Aye.
Okay, I'm sorry. All against, please say nay. I will now adjourn this meeting at 8:34 p.m.